I always kept a bunch of spare paper inside of this folder in case if I did have an idea, then I always wanted to make sure that I could write it down. I recommend that to anyone. If you have a paper games, paper computer games, any sort of nerd folder, just keep paper in there, or keep spare paper out everywhere within reach of you, in case if you do have those 3 a.m. reveals that, or ideas that you need to write down entire games to. Because I've done that many times, and that's kind of what this folder is all about too. You can see I already had a couple of unreleased games, and I'm probably going to have a couple more. So that's the right side. Now we're looking at the left side. Starting off, look at that. It's an OPRPG. The last time that I played the game. Some timestamps for whenever things happen in videos. Look at that. That's great. I was on day 26, and I remember I stopped actually counting the days after a while because I was scared I was going to erase this paper too much that I was going to break it all. So there's that. I also have, I guess, sneak peek. I'm not sure. You know what? I need to release the Cobblestone collection. These are all the enemies to the Cobblestone collection, which was the next expansion to my OPRPG. And you'll probably see more of that in here, since I believe that's where I put all my stuff. So I definitely know I need to release my Cobblestone collection for the 2 people that might have played OPRPG at the beginning and still are playing now, or have seen the video and now managed to see this video so many years ahead of time. Again, just a bunch more paper that I had. All right. Well, speaking of Cobblestone collection, this is the last map. This is actually not the actual map. This is a draft. So I always drafted my maps as well. I didn't, just go, directly to drawing my maps. I did that actually at the start, but then near, I don't know, maybe my 5th one, then I started actually, rough drafting all of my maps. So, lines aren't straight. I didn't use a ruler for everything. This was actually inside of a cave, so some of the lines are supposed to be straight. I think I actually did end up fully drawing this out to make it look nice. So we can probably see the difference. But yeah, then I would actually, look through it, play, be like, oh, should there be this many enemies right here? X's are enemies. Or, ooh, maybe I shouldn't put 2 pieces of loot in this room, even though there's a monster guarding one. Any cool things that I want to do? What are my shops going to be? Since, everything has to be on one page. Spoiler, the mine and fishing mini games that I actually added to this are on a different page, so it's not necessarily one page anymore, but generally I wanted to keep everything on the map one page. So, all the shops were one page, all the extra items you can get were one page, items possible, IP, so what they did as well, one page called the mine. So, yeah, we're probably going to see the rest of that later. Here's the fishing minigame and the mining minigame. So you can see draw 3 circles around a penny. So you take a penny, just place it down, draw 3 circles. Then you can cut down the pencils, or keep the background page behind there, or push hard so that you actually can see the indent on your next page. If your circle was part of or encompassed the gem, then you gained it. Then you got that gem and you could sell it for money, or actually I'm pretty sure I had, that was the only reason why I did not release the Cobblestone collection, is because I was adding a crafting system for for accessories, and I never actually figured out what I should do for that. And so that was the main reason why I never released this, because I couldn't figure out the crafting system. So I was like, oh, I've got the mining minigame, I have to have the crafting system with it. I don't want to just sell the gems. But yeah, I never figured that one out. And then here we have a fishing minigame. Put a pencil on the dot, close your eyes, move the pencil down, and then open your pencil pretty much whenever, or open your eyes when your pencil goes off the page. If your pencil went through the fish, then you caught it. You got the rare fish, which is the small in the far area, and then you got the other ones. So it's pretty cool. I actually really do like these mini games, and like I said, I'm probably going to release them for the actual Cobblestone collection, or Cracksborough collection, I don't remember. Here we go. Here's the actual drawn out version of the mine. So as you can see, heavy difference and quality. And I didn't want to do like the full lines. Instead, I just did like the lines that you saw that I was working on with my mini dungeons. You know what? I might have actually been working on that before I did the mini dungeons then, because yeah, I decided to do this sort of stuff, make it look cool, more ambiance. Obviously, put in the profiles of the monsters you're gonna be fighting. The mage golems, I love the mage golems. I took out the 2 extra like minions that was around the boss right here, so it's just the guard stones because he can summon his own things. I made everything look pretty. I must say, this looks really cool, really good for a dungeon map. I'm actually very proud of myself for this, for all the things I did for this. And of course, you know, I never released it. So, yep, I'm definitely going to scan it and release it to you guys so you guys can play, because it is all done, except for the accessories. Here's the next map. Let's see, the plateau. Don't know if I spelled that right. Still don't know if I know how to spell. But, yep, all sorts of cool things. You know, yeah, this is all really cool. You know what? I kind of missed this. I might start playing this game again. Here we have the canyon, which is the second one. We're going in reverse order. So that was the third map that we just saw. This is the second map. We got the Ramsen, Court Zorg, Shadows. The Shadows are like sneaky, I believe. They're like super fast and maybe high in defense but low in attack. So it was like hard to kill them. And yep, we got the mine, so that your first place that you could actually gain ore and everything. And finally, we have Cracksborough itself, where it all begins. We got the forge where you make those accessories that I did not know what to do for. At the shop, we got the main quest giver inside the mansion right here. Of course, some mines to the canyon. You start here because this is whenever you got your boat, and you would, you know, this is kind of a port right before you get into the mountains. We'll see that on the map that I have actually right here. But yep, the Cracksborough collection, all done. Had the monsters done. Look at these. I spent quite a while actually making these monsters as well, designing them. Mage Gall is definitely my favorite. And then the Guardstone as well. Love both of those. And I never released it. I guess I can put some thought into it. And you can see some more of my rough drafts for these things. Oh, look at that. I even did a storyboard. Here we have the map. I actually did have, well, I never made the third part of the map. It was going to be a straight up piece of paper like this, and it's going to be an archipelago, right? Is that what it's called? Yeah, a collection of islands up top to lead to a volcano island. And I guess I won't spoil the game because I might continue. I don't think I will, but yeah. So you can see, so you start, if you remember how the actual game goes, you start like over here or something like that, and then you go through a swamp or something, and then you end up at Yellowspire, which was great. It was the big city and everything. And then you go down here, or I think you start up here, I think probably, and then you go down. Then you get to Yellowspire, and then you have to, they're having trouble at the bridge down here, and so you're sent over here, going through the farm, through the wolf area, and you finally get to Oaksburg, and they're like, yeah, there's a bad guy down here. You go to the bridge, and although you can fight the bad guy and all his cronies and everything like that, it's not a good idea because you're gonna die. So it kind of forces you get a boat, or I think at this point, so it kind of forces you to go to Cracksborough. So now you can go to Cracksborough and you can see the entire map where it was here, and then you went, you know, to the valley, then to the plateau, and then finally inside of the dungeon over here. Oh yeah, you actually start over here. This is where you start actually, and you go through the dark forest and then to the swamps. And I made it so, you know, the rivers in the map, you know, are actually what it was on the maps for the games. I was really proud of myself for that, and then how it all connects with this thing. You got your boat over here, and then, yeah, okay, that was what it was. So technically, you can go straight to Cracksborough, but you get immediately destroyed without going to Yellowspire first and, you know, getting stuff there. So this was definitely a cool one. And then you can see I had the desert map planned out, Tower Marquef, Ancient Ruins. These are going to be like puzzle dungeons. Bravura was going to just be a... I think this is whenever you're going to meet your next party member. Oh, yeah, that's right. Another reason why I never did Cracksborough is because you're supposed to meet the Smee, or your next companion. So, you know, you had Smee from the start over here. then you're going to get Christo, which is why I did that stop motion animation. Christo is going to join your party, and that's why there were so many enemies, because you actually had 2 party members throughout this. And I was introducing multi-party or character battles, and so that was going to be the cool thing for here. That's right. That's why it also took so long, because I also never finished writing out all the rules, since I wanted to write all the rules out and then upload that to my website as well. And I kind of just never did that, or I did it slowly and I never got all of them. I got like the item rules and other rules, but I never got the base gameplay rules. I'm rambling. Anyways, when you reach down here, yeah, you can see it's, yeah. So these are going to be dungeons, ancient ruins, and the Tower of Markef. I think you would have gone to Bravura first, then Ancient Ruins, then Shah Nadal, then finally ended at the Tower of Markef. But either in Bravura or Shah Nadal, you were going to get your 3rd character, and it was going to be your final character. She was going to be like a, I don't know, like a, I wouldn't say shaman, because that's kind of not what it is, but an Egyptian magician, I guess. I don't know. She was going to be your healer. And like a magic user, and I was going to introduce magic here, and well, it's pretty much going to be your primary and secondary things on your character sheet, and it was going to be different spells that you can do, and you can swap out your spells, and yeah, that's kind of what that was going to be. Mainly, she was also going to be your healer, though, since you're going to need a healer for the rest of this game, especially with that archipelago. You're going to end with a giant dragon fight, with a again, I don't want to spoil it, but I don't think it's ever going to happen. And Smee ended up being a bad guy who kind of hired all of the bad things and started all the bad things that are happening, because he wanted to wake up the dragon and the islands and get the treasure that was under it. And he needed the Yellow Spire soldiers to not interfere, and then he needed the books and magic from Shah Nadal and the Desert Kingdoms, so that he could actually, awaken the dragon or something to get the treasure up in those archipelagos. But yeah, it was going to be a cool thing. There's going to be a ship combat with a dragon. I was planning big. I was ambitious with this. This is going to be my main project. This was my main game that I have so many videos on. So yep, you can see the plateau rough draft right there. Again, just things, different types of things that you could do. Generally how it was. Here's a storyboard I have. Obviously, I just did Cracksborough, which this is a very bad thing of Cracksborough, but the valley was kind of very similar with the route plan, at least, and I didn't even bother with the other ones. Here we go on the back. Oh yeah, this was me just practicing drawing in general, and then drawing the symbols for all of the people on the screen. I say on the screen, but yeah, on my games. This was super hard to figure out what I wanted to draw as, but of course, again, Mage Golem, my favorite, my goat. I love Mage Golem. My first attempt at drawing Mage Golem was yeah, I wish I did that exact same thing, but on the actual card itself, and I ended up doing pretty good. I love my Mage Golem. That was me, again, just practicing drawing. But here we can see the entire thing. This is the plan for the map, so you can see what I just showed you. This is where you started. We have Cracksborough collection over here. We've got the Yellow Spire collection over here. Shah Nadal down here. The archipelago with the islands. A bunch of mountains on either side with a volcano where a dragon was going to be. Yep, you can pretty much see what I was going for. Oh, look at those great wolves right there. Amazing. Also, practice on what Yellow Spire was actually going to look like. This wasn't the only page of Yellow Spire. I know I spent an entire page or note card of trying to figure out different drawings for Yellow Spire itself. Again, some more drawings for my monsters. This was actually me playing the game. I was writing out the health of everything. It's hard to track. Oh, a whole nother page of monsters, and this was all from the Cracksborough collection. Remember, I was going to do a big video as well after I released Cracksborough collection. It was my process on how I make paper games and how not to give up making paper games, and what you should do to make it look as good as possible. So I was I think I made not videos, but I made recordings of each of these things that I drew, and I was yeah, I started with this and I didn't like it, so I started with that, didn't like it, started with that, didn't like it, and I was well, maybe I take off the legs, and then it's a golem with floating stones for legs. I was oh, that's actually great. And you can see the bear wasn't going to be a bear, it was going to be a lion man in the beginning. And I was like, nope, that's stupid. So I made a bear. And that's kind of how this stuff went. So like just the evolution of how I did stuff. I actually made the shadow of this one first. I was like, it's okay. And then I made this one. I was like, oh, that's horrible. And I made that one. I was like, oh, that's even worse. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to the original shadow. Was the bat on here? One of my enemies? I don't think I have a bat. No, I don't. See, look at that. The shadow, it's almost exactly the same. The bear, almost exactly the same. Made sure to get its face and eyebrows and the nice location. I really did not like how the Ramzun looked in the end, but I guess it kind of looks weird. It all staring at you and just weird, which is kind of what I wanted. But yeah, some pretty good monsters, I must say. Let's keep going. Much more pages. Oh, here we have the original copies of the OP RPG. And I'm not going to look through all of these because I know this has taken quite a while. Here we have, you know, the original cutout. I don't actually think I made a scan of this, or I cut it out. I made the video, like I drew this. I made the video for that competition, that PCG competition. And, you know, in it, I cut out my character card and I played through this entire thing. And I was like, I forgot to actually scan this online so other people could play it. So I like put it back on here and tried to do it. I think the printout is actually very scuffed. But yeah, this is where it started for my OPRPG with the paper computer games competition with Saman Ahmad and PCG. And I ended up winning. I was very happy. They made me a cool intro, which I still use right now. The intro that I use right now, actually, no, they made me a piece of art about my game, and I actually did really like that. I used that as my thumbnail for pretty much every single game until I got to Yellow Spire, because once I got to Yellow Spire, then I used my Yellow Spire map as my thumbnail. But yeah, I use that thumbnail for everything. I love that art. Thank you, Zach, for making that for me. But yeah, this is where it started. Got the first page, got the second page, started some more, you know, function stuff. We got the poison stuff, and this is what introduced the modifier cards that I would put on top of the actual, you know, monsters themselves to modify their stats, so I can use the same monsters but with different stats. And then we had the, oh, look at that. So this is the swamp thing, and on the back I had a page for diffuser. Now this is because I actually made this inside of my notebook, and it was a spiral notebook, and I wasn't paying attention that I used my OPRPG the same as my diffuser game. That's kind of funny. We had the pirate ship, so you can save Smee. I had a full backstory of how Smee got here and everything like that, and all sorts of stuff. Oh yeah, this one was also not one page. I kind of went away from the rule, because technically it's a one page, but it's front and back. So 2 pages if you print it out, but 1 page technically for me for looking at it. Here we have Yellow Spire, the whole city right here, the whole shebang. And each of these, like, you know, pop-up locations are actual quests. Again, I did front and back so that, you know, I could show the mass of the city and how cool the city looks. And then, you know, I had to put the quest and dialogue on the back, as well as the shop. There's the quest for the farm, that wolf area that you can really, all you just have to attack was this forest frog. Again, another modifier thing. And then you could go to the Oaksburg area. This is pretty much just for grinding. I made this specifically for grinding and also for the quest to get the wolf pelts, which takes a long time, actually. That was bad game design for me, but I guess it's more like an RPG now, because it was a fetch quest, and it was a long fetch quest. Here we have Oaksburg. Again, I did the same thing where, you know, quest and dialogue on the back, and then, you know, the actual thing in front. Pretty cool. Then you get to the bridge. Captain Dirk sent us to help you fight the bandits. So you're, you know, at this point you will have learned how multi-party member combat works, because you would have gotten Christo, or this would be the first time you find out, and then you realize that you are super outmatched by all these forest bandits, and then also Scar the Red. Yeah, I don't think I made a card for Scar the Red. I might have made a card for Scar the Red, but yeah, so he's, you know, he was actually hired by Smee in the end to, you know, block the bridge. But yeah, this is pretty cool. And that was it. That was the last page that I actually released of my OPRPG. Because again, I never released my Cracksborough. So that's enough reminiscing on that stuff. That's taken a lot of time. Here we have Too Hot, a great game that I made. I'm actually proud of this game as well. It is a lot to do with randomness, but you know, I like randomness in my games. And I think there was just enough strategy on what you can do, what the probability of what you could do. I actually really like this game. And it doesn't take too long. You just have to print out the maps. I guess I should have done like a blank one without all this. Actually, I think I didn't upload a blank map so that you can just write in what you want. But yeah, so you can just write in whatever thing you want, whether a well, merchant, or ruins in any of these locations. You can see this is like a large one. So R is ruins, M is merchant, R is W is well, and then these are just places you couldn't go. So this is like, you can play this game in like 5 minutes and win, or you can play the big grid one, and this will take you like 20 minutes, and then you might win, you might not. You have to be very prepared, since you can see it's open desert pretty much until you get right there. So very proud of Too Hot. Love that game. I'm also very proud of this game. This is Spy Master. All of my Spy Master pages are actually in the Spiral Notebook. This was taken out of the Spiral Notebook, I think. No, I think this was actually, I was just bored in class one day and I just drew this up and I started playing. Then someone else was like, oh, I want to play. And I was like, okay, sure. So I drew up another game for them. I did that quite a bit, actually. I think this was in middle school, maybe high school. I don't remember when that was. But yeah, this is Spy Master. I love Spy Master. I think it's a great game, and it was really the only game that I knew of at that time that was like this. And I was actually thinking, I wanted to learn to code, and I was thinking about actually coding this game, or this into an actual game. And then around a year later, I hadn't done it yet, and I saw there was like a mobile app that was very similar to this game. And I was just like, oh, well, I missed my chance. I missed my opportunity. But I really like this game. I wanted to make a story mode for it. I still might make a story mode for it because the map design is simple enough. Even though if I make it into like a corporate office or something like that, or an underground bunker, I think the maps will still be simple enough. Gameplay is great. You don't have to do too much, and just, I just have to add a story to it. It's pretty fun. Yeah, like I said, it was very fun, and yeah, very fun. Let's see, abstract data types. This has to deal with coding stuff. A long, long time ago. Fight game. Ooh, here we have just written out ideas. Oh, and look at that paper. Hey, it's not college print paper. That is whatever the other type of print paper it is, because I don't worry about paper anymore. Everything's on computers. Man. So this must have been a long time ago. Fight game, fossil fighter, stamina game. Combos, attack, d6 hit, if not 1, cost 10 stam. Oh, okay, 2 hit attack, d6 times 2, hit if 4 through 6, cost 25 stam. Okay. It's interesting. Throughout the game, you can learn these combos. Only changeable stats are health and stamina. Maybe a coolness stat for extra side missions. Okay, cool. Like charm. Game character. Boxes, superhero, villain. It's all soup. What? Oh, maybe is this like a Scott Pilgrim style? That's funny. Kingdom's Tale, but less complex battles. Less realistic art style too. Combat. Forces on stamina depletion Nexomon. I do not know where this is going. Maybe this was actually, I think it's all soup. I think this was actually going to be the fight system that I was going to incorporate, because it really was just a d6 if you had something, and then like 2d6 if you had like the right item for a job or something like that. It was going to be like skill checks. But, interesting. I don't know. I mean, I understand by the stamina and power thing with fossil fighters. That makes sense. But, yeah, I'm not really sure. Oh, here we have the Grand Joust. This is what I released for a video. And I had the uncolored tournament page, since some people like just pencil or pen. Other people like to color. But, yep, this was just the single player, very quick demo. I'm calling it a demo for the game, so you have your shop on what you can get better. I mean, it's a full game in itself. I say demo, but you know, you could play this game for probably like a good 6 hours, and you'd probably beat the game in around 5 hours. Probably less than that. I'd say 3 hours. But that's still pretty good, especially for, you know, a paper game that's only legitimately, you only need this page. And then this page is just for visual effects, and then you got 2 note cards as well. Boom. That is the game, and this much stuff, you know, lasts you for 3 hours. I'd say that's a pretty good game. I did like the game. It was pretty hard. It did have a bit of luck, like a bit too much luck, I think, was the problem with this game. A bit. And, you know, the fact that everything had durability on it, I don't take it back. I do agree that this game needs to have durability on its equipment. But I know that would make it annoying. It's just, I feel like for the sake of this game, you have to have durability for this. And so you have, you know, your tournaments, so you can start with the Brigand tournament, the Prestige tournament, and find the Grand Joust tournament. So, and you can bet. Look at that! I even made betting right there. But yeah, really like this game. With this one, I actually wrote all of the rules out on a piece of paper. I think I later had to type it out online, or I might have just scanned this and just uploaded that. But yeah, here's all the rules that I had. I just thought of it. I kept on writing. You know, obviously, you can see the shop right there. So I actually made it into an actual page. So this is just me rambling on on how I got this. Oh, look at that! I even thought of a storyline. A pretty competent jouster who was beginning. Yeah, I even like started thinking of the Grand Joust storyline. Actually, I think at the end of the video, I even, you know, put the teaser and dropped the title page of the story mode for this. But yeah, look at that. I even put like some notes for Act 1, and then I moved it to my computer. That's great. That's great stuff right there. Great game, I must say. Here's the set for, oh, it's called like Wrestling Rambunctious Wrestlers or something like that. Yep. Here we have this. Oh, this one was the one that was colored. I guess the Grand Joust wasn't colored. This was the original colored, and then I made a copy of it. Oh, look at that. I've got everything. The original is right here. Look at that. This did pretty well. I guess it might have been because, you know, it's a well-known game. I only played this game once, and I didn't really know how it really worked that well. But yeah, I was glad that worked out okay. Let's see, character creation status. Oh yeah, this is Kingdoms. This is the starting characteristic for Kingdoms, and each of these actually was part of your stats. So again, it's like Banner or Mountain Blade Warband at that time, where you started with a couple of questions, and that determined your stats and your starting equipment. So I kind of did the exact same thing for this thing right here. So yeah, look at that. Yeah, money, 2 silver pieces. This is pretty cool stuff. I'm definitely gonna have to look through my online things. That's cursed. I don't even know what that is. Okay, cool. Let's see. Ah, yes. Antidin. This is another thing that I wanted to do. I think this is also like Kingdoms. Actually, this was the so that's what this paired with this. The game I was gonna make was called Antidin, and I think this actually is Kingdoms, that I was gonna call it this, and I just kept it with Kingdoms because obviously you can see I didn't pick a title, and I couldn't even figure out how to say it. Maybe this was supposed to be its own game, but I know in my Google Drive that I transformed this into Kingdoms, or maybe I did call it Antidin. I haven't seen that drive in so long. But yeah, so you have your character creation, so your starting stats, and then you have the first screen, which this was actually taken from a Flash game called... Ah, man, I don't even remember the Flash game, but it's an army game, not army. It's a fantasy game. You like put a troop. There's like 10 different horizontal rows, I guess, and you place a troop on a row. It's got a little bit like Plants vs. Zombies kind of, but you put a troop on a row and they march forward, and they refresh and you get money, and then you put another troop on a different row, and then the enemy AI or whatever puts a troop on a row, and you kind of have to make sure your troops kill their troops, and then you try to make your troops go to the other side and you win. I don't remember what it's called, but this was in the it had like 2 screens before you started the campaign that said like, oh, everything is great in the world, and it showed this picture, and I kind of just stole this picture from that. That was a lot of explanation just to say that I stole a picture from a game, but it definitely looks good. I drew it well. I don't think this is exactly what it looked like in the game. I might have made my own house details, but this was the exact same kind of preparation of how everything was. But yeah, so this was actually how it was still the tutorial, the beginning of the game, where it actually sets up. So you got your character creation, which is some things, and then you have your actual starting dialogue and the story and how everything starts out. So a new day in Eisenov, whatever. You remember you need to help your father in a wheat field. Go to page 2. Assist your uncle with fishing. And so this, because in Kingdoms, there's a whole farming mechanic. There was a fishing mechanic. Write a private letter to the nearby Castle Crator from the mayor. Don't remember what that might be for. That might just be you get more equipment later or something like that. Visit the black, that's probably that, because there was also relationships. You can gain relations with the different kingdoms in the kingdom. There are the good guys, there are bad guys, there are neutral guys, and depending on if you had good relations with someone, then you could recruit some of their soldiers or their serfs so that they can be your soldiers. Or if you did not have good relations, then they would attack you if you try to enter into their land. And it was all again a chance. You would roll a dice, and it's depending on if you had good relations, then you roll a dice. Now your 6 could be, oh, you have been rewarded by the Lord by having you grace his land or something like that. Or if you have bad relations, then you'd be like on a 4 to 6, then a bunch of people attack you because they recognize you as an enemy. And this was all setting up all that stuff and all the different mini games that you can do, your different stats that you can build, including your field or your farming, so you get more food to feed your soldiers, fishing. I think it was also probably the same thing with food, because food was also a thing. It was just so cool. You know what? I'm definitely going to continue. Look at that. The Butter Lord, or the Butter Knight meme from Mountain Blade. I was going to do with the Grand Joust story. That's great stuff. Let's see. Some more art styles that I was trying to represent. This is from the Adventure Zone. I think that's Magnus. That I was trying to represent and make into a character. I don't know what these were. Kind of like their faces though. But yeah. Again, me trying to work on drawing. This is more anime style. I think I was actually using people from Sword Art Online, if you would believe it, for these faces. Obviously, you can see I am not a good drawer. I don't remember what that one was, but I think I remember I was like, oh yeah, I like that whenever I actually did draw it. Oh, we got a storyboard for a Grand Joust. Inspiration. Oh, this must be another game. Oh, this was my script for how not to get burnt out making games such as the Grand Joust. I was really into making the Grand Joust game, and I was gonna post, not clips, but I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's very late at night right now. I had this idea that I wanted to look through this stuff, and I was just going to do updates on how much I finished with the Grand Joust, and after Act 1, then I was going to make a video on how to stay inspired and make sure you create your paper games. Of course, that would have been ironic if I ever did that, because I quit. I didn't even make it through Act 1. But yeah, these are going to be all the different points I was going to go over. Motivation and the slump. Pros and cons of forcing your way through a game. Get more detailed. Start typing online. Hands-on with notes. Look at that. This is also how I make my paper games as well. Like I said, I was going to show off how my Cracksburg collection was made. And all the different sketches that I made and storyboards and practice, you know, maps I did. But continuous future, saying more of the story being made. Yeah, so this is an ironic page right here saying, don't slump, don't stop making games, and I stopped making games. Here we got Brigadoon. Brigadoon is actually a, or Brigadoon. I said Brigadoon, but it was supposed to be Brigadoon, based off of the Dragon Quest IX, very early boss castle at the end of the game. And I don't really remember, I think it was more like Minesweeper, and a mix of Minesweeper and Hot, whatever, Hot Steps, you know what I mean. Too Hot game. Pretty cool stuff. Let's see. Oh no, and this was also with the brand new type of thing. So I always like to, you know, find new ways to make random game mechanics. So, you know, I had the dice roll, I had the flip of the coin, I think I did something else, and then I had this was the tray that I did, where you would roll a dice in a tray, and then that affected on where you went, as well as how many steps you took. That was actually kind of funny. I actually like that. Game mode, Pit of Despair. Every move creates a pitfall. Oh, so I even had more game modes. I don't even know if I released Brigadoon. Yeah, I know I definitely did. That was in college I released that one. And I did talk about the other game modes. That's cool. All right, here we go. We got this. Let's see. This was probably had something to do with the Grand Joust. Or look at that. What mythical creature do you like most? So this might have been the second page. Oh, this would have been the page where it said you help your dad on the farm. And this was going to be your dad with a grayed out face because, spoiler, he dies in a bandit raid. That happens. This is going to be the second page. And then I just turned it into just practice drawing. That's great. We got goal. Oh, here's the actual map itself. I don't even remember how to play it. I just remember it's a grid-based mover, and you try to kick a soccer ball across the field. Roll to the next defender. Maybe it's... Oh, look at that. Oh, no, that's right. I did make it so it's you can play it one solo. Since I said that I had no friends. That was funny. Yeah, so then how the AI actually works, which is the point of all of these red lines. So this is actually the rules for that. Oh, here we go. Here is the rest of that Watch Dogs game that I talked about last video, or maybe still this video, but way earlier on. And you can see map 1, City Park Corner. And so this is all like the stuff that you could do based off of this map. And I just realized, like, this took so long to do, and there were so many things you can do. So, like, this was the route that someone walked around, and then you could do something. Again, I didn't know what Watch Dogs even was. I think it was just like, I think I was trying to do like some sort of GTA thing. That was the main problem with this game. I just didn't know the direction I wanted to take it. I saw the mechanics. I was like, oh, these are some cool mechanics, and I can make things happen, you know, at certain times. But what do I want to do with this game? Here's at the Adventure Zone, that inspiration that I was trying to draw for other things. We got a copy of the Cracksborough. I made copies like all the time because I didn't want my paper to get ruined and bent and everything like that. Especially I wanted like a non-colored copy, since I decided to actually, you know, color them with colored pencils. So that was a big thing for me. Oh, here's the rules for Rambunctious Road Ravagers. So that one game. All right, we got a playthrough of Brigadoon. I must spend the time whenever I actually drew my own games in the same video and then played through them. Ah, yes. A game never released. I know I never released it because this is a super small one, and I thought, it's too stupid to release. Especially since it's exactly like Battleship. Look, even this one, I called it Battleship Mini. And then I was like, you know what? I can't call it Battleship Mini. I'll call it Submarine. 6x6, 1v1 or single player. Literally the same as Battleship with luck. 3 submarines. Dinghies, 2 3x1s. Place them on a grid. Roll 1 dice, and that's the number of columns. Second dice is the row. So you just roll 2 dice and then see if you shoot a torpedo in that direction and if it randomly hits. It is completely based on random. This was not really any functional actual game. Whoever has a submarine last wins. Fellowship Mini. This was an idea that worked out well at that time, and I will not go into what that was. What is this? Oh, this is, again, Rambunctious Road Brawler, Rowdy Road Brawler. So you can see that I had so many different names for trying to figure out how not to call it Super Street Fighters. So that was like the concept art for that. Here we have my love Frigate Defense, which didn't actually have a name. Oh man, I can't believe I'm confessing to this now, 9 years after I made this game. I didn't make this game. I'm pretty sure probably someone else made it, and maybe they showed it off somewhere. I'm not sure. One of my friends, I had a very good friend in middle school. This is 6th grade. He showed me this game, and I loved it, and I made it, my main... I think it was my first game. I called it Frigate Defense because he didn't say there was a name. He just called the Star Wars game. That's what we would call it. It was just like, you want to play a Star Wars game? Sure, let's play the Star Wars game. And I was like, I made this for a video, and I was like, everyone has to know what this is. And I was like, yeah, it's going to be called Frigate Defense. But yeah, I never thought of this game. Just like I didn't think of the game called Conquest. That actually came from my teacher. She made that game for us to play, and I was like, oh, this is great for my YouTube channel. And yeah, so that's not originally my game, but I really liked it. This was back in elementary school, I think. Again, Dragon Quest IX, my favorite game. I had a buddy who, he played Final Fantasy, I played Dragon Quest, and we were trying to, have the other person figure out, we had the other person try to figure out who had the better game by, drawing our enemies and drawing our weapons that we used in our games. So I always liked playing with axes, so I did the moon axe right there. I must have been in Bloomingburg, I think, or just before that. So I remember you get this whenever you first, or your second Sea Serena, or your first Sea Serena, whenever you're crossing the bridge. But yeah, so we're kind of showing off what we have. Now this, I need to find my originals of all of these. This is, again, in elementary school. I had a different friend, and we would make our own TCG. I gotta find my TCG cards for this. I didn't even know what a TCG was. I knew about Pokemon cards, and I did not have any money to buy any, so me and my friend, we made our own TCG. And really all it was just it was like this, but like way smaller. You just drew something random, gave a name to it, and you gave it a power number. And the power is just like, it could be 1 or 0 to anything. So like I had a bunch of cards that was like power 50 or power 30, and then I'd have my one super card that was power 500. And then of course, we kept on trying to one up each other, and the cooler the monster looked. It was all based on how cool the monster looked. And so like one person had power infinity and then power Googleplex or whatever, because we said those are numbers and everything like that. And realistically, you would play a card, your opponent would play a card, whoever had the most power would win. Then you could stack, some of your character cards on top of each other to, give yourself more power. I think we even gave our guys equipment at one point to also give them more power. And that was pretty much it. I think we drew 5 cards from our deck, and then you would draw up to 5 again or something like that. And then yeah, that was the game. So boom, guard type, healer type. Look at that. Suicide bomber type, which completely spelled wrong since, like I said, I was in 3rd grade or something like that when I made these games. Look at these weapons right here. Weapons, again, these are all based off Dragon Quest IX. That's the Star Ring, and that's the Wind Ring or something like that. And those are equipment that I gave to my guys to increase their power. Here we have another game. This was a classic that I love to do. So this was before Frigate Defense. I would draw these massive battlefields, usually Star Wars related. So this is Hoth. You can see that there's a snow speeder right there, and those turret things. And I would just draw a bunch of dudes with guns on each side, AT-ATs, all sorts of things. And I would just go from this side, and I'd just draw a line and be like, and I go to this side, I'd be like, oh yeah, but they shoot back. So I was really just drawing a bunch of lines and just having a war on a piece of paper. It was a lot of fun. I like doing that. That was fun. This is another game based off a video game, an indie, or online, whatever those games are called that I said before. I don't remember what it's called at all, and actually I didn't like playing it, but I played it with my sister every now and again because she was okay with it. You had like 4 guys on your side, and you picked one at a time to move and then choose a weapon. And all I remember is that every single time, like, the enemy AI would always manage to perfectly throw grenades right into my dudes, and you kind of get like attached to your dudes, like you name them and everything like that. And I just remember a grenade always hitting my guys and blowing them all up, and I did not like this game because of that. But my sister and I made this. I think I made it with her like influence, and we could try to play it on paper, and it didn't really work out that well. But yeah, that was that one. And this is a drawing from a book series I do not remember. It was like Warriors Cats, but with birds. I just remember there was this flamboyant bird that had like a rapier or something like that, and I was wanted to learn to draw again back in elementary school, and I tried to draw him. And I also remember there was a book on tape for it, because I remember like someone said, "Please don't eat me." It's like, eat you? Why would I eat you? Like bird on bird, freaking cannibalism right there. What a wild way to end this video. So that was it for my left page of there. Obviously, I got in the summary, I got a good look at my Grand Joust game again. I don't think I'm going to continue it, but who knows, I might. Definitely going to finish this Cracksbro collection. That's actually kind of why I actually took out this folder in the first place, so that I could continue working on it and see where I left off. But yeah, there's a couple other games in there, like I said. I mean, I'm probably not going to make them. If you want to read those rules that I showed there and make them yourself, feel free. Go on ahead and do so. Hope you had a good time just reminiscing with me as I looked through all of my, old stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much going to be it. I hope you very much enjoyed this video. And yeah, this is the Flamespot signing out.